hoping to pick something that can handle the early lane pressure of a Syndra. Now, Syndra's not necessarily a super meta pick anymore. Neither is Zoe. These are both kind of down the food chain as far as mid laners, but definitely champions that both of these guys have a lot of mastery over.
And can certainly open up with the picks in the mid game. Have to see how it all shakes out, but it is, as a result, it is actually Viper on the Triss, kind of as we expected. We actually already saw this matchup today. Hauntzer did very well into Licorice, despite the loss that Golden Guardian suffered. In general, after those little buffs, it does feel like Tristana is exceptionally good in lane.
Yeah, absolutely agree. It seems like the all-in potential at level 6 is very high, and you can often just sit on your rocket jump in the laning phase to get out of most ganks. Normally, what keeps marksmen out of lanes like top is the fact that it's a very long lane. If they're naturally going to push, then as soon as a gank goes up there, they look to fall. Tristana, if you time it right, can buffer out of most strong gank attempts. So as players have gotten a little bit better at it, it seems like a little bit safer of a pick than you would have first expected.
Yeah, and even though you can interrupt it, you need kind of very specific. Everyone thinks of like Thresh Flay is the best one. Jarvan EQ and Aatrox Q, not going to get the job done that often. So certainly curious to see if Viper can take over this game. I think he is kind of the central champion to look for, at least in the early game for FlyQuest. But again, for FlyQuest, I think it is a lot about playing through to the end of the season and maintaining some form towards that gauntlet. For TSM, even though they're locked, don't really want to end up in the pile down towards the bottom. You'd much rather finish with a better playoff spot if you can.
You're absolutely right about that. And kind of thinking back through TSM history is, again, Reginald is back helping out the team. It has happened so many times before where TSM looks kind of middling at either the early point in the split or midway through the split, or even in sometimes, like back in 2015, they were 6th place heading into playoffs, and then they still made finals. So there used to be this expectation that TSM would mess around with stuff, then eventually settle into something they liked and make a run through NA. That stopped, really, 2 years ago. And then last split, it felt like they got things together around week 5. And they went on that huge run, made it all the way to finals, and people expected them to then just break through and be amazing this split. Definitely not true. And they're back into this phase of kind of feeling things out. And there's a definite feeling of uncertainty in the fan base, either if you want to see TSM succeed or if you want to see them fail. Like what is actually going to happen, and especially when they pull in now their 3rd jungler of the split, an 18-year-old playing his first game on the LCS stage in week 9, 1 week before playoffs that'll grant potentially a world slot for the winner. It's really impressive.
Well,
it's really interesting to see.
Well, we'll see if we can get a little bit more clarity, because Ovally is standing by with Peter Zhang.
Thanks, guys. Coach Peter, interesting addition having both you and Spica coming in for week 9. Tell me, what brought you guys in here and what can we expect to see?
Yeah, we just want to try to see if Spica can have a kind of different synergy with the team. Well, obviously, I think our LCS team was doing fine, but we just want to see something new.
Well, what about bringing you in? What are you doing to help Coach Zix work with TSM to potentially rack up more of those wins?
Well, at the very beginning, we always work as a team together. Like, we talk every day, and we talk about draft and strategies between Academy and LCS. So it's mainly depends on who need more help, and we're just going to go where.
And we have something fun happening on stage, so thank you. Back to you guys.
He got it! He got it, but he's actually maybe in trouble. Buff is out with the EQ as Wadid rotates around. Smoothie now going to try and protect him on the Yuumi. Follow-up stun, not going to land. Flashes out of the bubble, and Spica steals it, and he's out of there.
And just to kind of what Peter said, they're looking for something a little bit new. And Jarvan red to enemy blue against Sejuani is definitely something new. Incredibly risky. That easily could have completely flopped if he doesn't get that smite. But he does. He's able to sneak out, burn his flash. It sets Santorin back in the jungle. It means he can't gank early, and it will allow both Bjergsen and Sven to push up a little bit in lane, knowing that the Sejuani was denied that blue buff. But that's the type of spicy stuff you bring in a first-time jungler for Face Time.
I mean, he certainly has come from the depths of NA solo queue. Very impressive in that regard. And I think he's been ramping up slowly in Academy and becoming a more rounded, better competitive player. But again, I think his big thing is bringing some X Factor, and that's what that was as we look at top lane now. Viper getting that early push going. Already 10 CS ahead here on the Triss, so it does seem like the early Triss laning power is holding in this matchup.
Yeah, and FlyQuest needs to try and use this new TSM roster against them, not expecting a huge amount of synergy between TSM's jungler and the rest of TSM. So Santorin playing around topside, playing around his strong side jungler, knowing that even though he got his boost stolen away, that means the top Scuttle Crab is going to be up. Santorin is a very experienced player, so let's see how his overall farm will track against Spica, because Santorin has been in the past very good at efficiently pathing.
The 3 buff is complete, but Santorin, as you mentioned, recovering nicely on the Krugs. Mid lane, does seem like Bjergsen has a nice early lead, and that is quite the win rate in his LCS career. 34-12 on the Syndra.
Yeah, absolutely. You can see, has the wave actually pushed up a little bit. That's not the ideal spot for the mid wave. It's actually Pobelter who has the wave in the best position right now. That's usually initially where he wanted. It is pushing back right now. So whenever you can get the minions kind of at that river entrance, that's where, when Bjergsen was playing Syndra the most, he would seemingly always have the wave. And that puts the opposing mid laner in a difficult position where if he walks up to CS, he is risking ganks. That's where Pobelter is right now. And look, walking up to CS, risking a gank.
2v2 actually going to start here. Good bubble there from Pobelter. Hits him point blank. Going to weave that Q in as well. They might think about a dive Speaker here into defend onto Santorin, but has to get out as the Permafrost will follow him over into the Raptor pit.
Yeah, Santorin is also familiar with how Bjergsen's Syndra works, because that was one of the picks they used to play together several years ago. Not necessarily saying like you needed to play with Bjergsen to know that a mid lane counter gank was coming against Syndra, but it was smart of Santorin to be there, and it allowed them to win that trade.
Yep, certainly right place there, as Bjergsen can't even complete the back just yet. Has to take cleanse because of all the pressure between Zoe and Sejuani, so cannot easily get back to lane with something like a TP. Although Pobelter, similarly aggressive, has brought heal and electrocute for this go-round. And bottom lane, it's an Ezreal lane, so they're just farming.
Yeah, Ezreal Yuumi lane, so fairly strong to poke, but definitely vulnerable to a little bit of all-in if Wadid can actually get a nice dredge line down. But that's why it is very important to apply mid-lane pressure, because TSM is looking to draw that mid lane in for their bottom lane to push. However, that comes to the cost of top lane, where FlyQuest wants this.
Broken Blade gets the Q to me. That's enough. First blood solo kill in the top half.
That is not how Viper expected that one to go. Level 6 versus level 5 by the end of that actually dies with his ultimate up. We'll have to check his mana afterwards, but Broken Blade lands just enough of the Qs, flashing for the Q3 as the minions finish the auto. Here comes that gank bot lane, though, that we alluded to.
Smoothie gonna get locked up, needs to make it back to Sven, but needs to wait out the CC as well. Does do so. Sven gonna arcane shift Smoothie out of there, and Yuumi will be safe for now.
Yep, really well played there by Smoothie and Sven. As you mentioned, Yuumi just needs to make sure she doesn't get CC'd while she's going back into someone. But here we go. Viper's actually level 5. Let's see when he hits level 6. So he's close to the kill. Broken Blade flashes in. He hits 6 here. Would have needed to ult Broken Blade immediately. Does not. Broken Blade incredibly fast in finishing off that kill, and just straight up outplay on Viper.
Yep. And given that he was behind at some point in the lane, he's now even the CS back up, and now has a gold lead thanks to the kill he secured for himself. So that lane turns quickly. Ninja Tabai now finished for the Aatrox, and we'll see if there's any more attention paid to the top half of the map. But unfortunately for Viper, the early game pick thwarted by the little misstep there.
Yeah, we haven't seen that much Trist Aatrox to know exactly how the matchup would play out, but based on some of the earlier things we've seen, if left completely one-on-one, the Trist generally has the advantage early. But now, once he's down a kill, I think it becomes a lot easier for Aatrox and Broken Blade to just push right into the Tristana, kind of brute force his way through some of these trades, especially with Ninja Tabi.
We'll have to keep an eye on again Santorin if he wants to maybe play up to that side once more. Bottom side for Sven, and Smoothie Sven actually with a pretty nice lead as a Sheen early in this tier, so it's just trying to keep them back. As you mentioned, Ezreal Yuumi very strong if you can keep them at bay, but the general thought with Nautilus is you are waiting to try and get some sort of all-in, and you generally need your ulti to do that. So while Totaling Wadid, not too upset with how things are going either.
Yeah, they're just trying to bide their time and kind of wait for Santorin to be able to set the tempo here. So much of this game, especially in the early game, is dictated by where the jungle goes and where the waves are positioned. So the fact that Wild Turtle and Wadid are fairly consistently pushed in, they kind of need the mid lane to either get a gank off or collapse down bottom lane, and it's been pretty difficult to do, as now TSM collapses up towards the river to, again, kind of preempt a gank.
Looking for a pick, they do have Yuumi ult. Just Just move the Prowling Projectile in for the slow. Good stun by Bjerg onto POB, but does not connect for a full combo. But still, again, if you can get the wave pushed out, Zoe is very good on the roam, but here comes Speaker down bot side. Gonna try and gank Wild Turtle. That'll force the ulti. There's the final chapter. Gonna root upward deed. Kill should be there. Exhaust is just enough as Sven follows him for the final auto.
And this is very different than the TSM we saw even last week in the fact that they are the ones preempting all of these plays and really dictating the pace of the game. All the way back to the early invade to the blue buff. This time, TSM did push Santorin off the blue buff in the mid lane, knowing they'd have a temporary 3v2 here where they can just all in for that gank. They just blow both their ultimates, they actually get both flashes out of the opposing team and still get the kill because it was such a clear 3v2. They could be so decisive in that play that the counterplay wasn't able to arrive in time for FlyQuest.
Even get a plate out of the deal as well, so about 1,500 gold ahead for TSM here in the early game, 2-0 up in kills. There is an Ocean on the table for either team, as that is the first drake that has spawned. But for now, we'll just have the blue buff handoff. Broken Blade continues to have a pretty leisurely time now here in the top lane 1v1. And TSM off to a good start, which is, again, given that they have made such a late change, a good sign for the TSM fans of the world. As Woody off to the tower, continue to get poked away by this Ezreal and Yuumi.
Yeah, FlyQuest not having a lane they can play around or into right now. They thought they'd have a pushing top side with the Tristana. That has not worked because Broken Blade 1v1 killed for the first blood. Mid lane is where TSM has the control ward in the side river, so whenever the wave gets frozen short, Pobelter basically has to give that up and cheat towards top side. I'll actually explain that a little bit. So this ward right down here that Pobelter is currently killing, when that wasn't there, then he would have to cheat topside. So it's important, actually, that he's able to clear that, because that allows Santorin to keep at least a little bit of pressure bot side. Because if they don't get that started, then there actually is nowhere they can proactively go.
Yep, as again, to reiterate, waves and junglers. That's really what a lot of the early game often comes down to. Wadid's still not level 6, by the way, is the other thing to note. He's close. He's got about 10% XP left until he can have access to the depth charge, but until then, it's been kind of a miserable time in bot lane, although he'll wander around and get there in short order, I have to imagine. Also, blue buffs for both mid laners, so we expect to see the farm game be even faster as they both look for priority, but it does seem like TSM is settling in for a little bit more slow going of an early game. I think they're happy with the lead they've built. No need to rush into anything, which has certainly been the TSM way for quite a while.
Right, and you also want to compare their early game a little bit more to the style of TSM Academy, because they have mentioned that they have actually tried to change their early game style. But here, Spica a little bit ahead of the play.
Good grab with D. They're going to be the first one after the final chapter from Smoothie. Going to try and lock it up in a 3v3. Sven getting out of there. Spica, though, maybe a little too early as POB is going to make that first roam. Santorin already kills Sven. What a great ult onto the J4. Into stasis goes Spica. The Q missed time, but Turtle able to grab it nonetheless.
Yep, misspoke there about Spica being ahead of the play, because it was actually mid lane, the control ward we talked about earlier that allowed Pobelter to kind of move slightly towards the river, means FlyQuest get a 4v3 down in the bottom lane, pick up a double kill, and a very important Ocean Drake. A huge play for FlyQuest.
Yep, even that gold up now, about 1,000 between the two teams, and the Ocean will help the rest of their remaining laning phase, as Bjergsen does at least trade for a plate in the mid lane. Now going to look top and try and extend this plate into Viper, who's the only one really under pressure right now.
Very good ward. Right, that saw Bjergsen walking over. Means Viper was smart enough to stay away from the tower. But watch this one. The big thing to keep your mind on is actually the mini-map with Pobelter way ahead of Bjergsen on that play. So even though Spica was there for a 3v3, not prepared for the 4v3. Here they go for Pobelter, though.
Mid lane, burning 2 ultis already. Pobelter going to flash out of there, and now actually the counter kill might happen with Deed. Going to look for the engaged hook, not going to land. Pobelter still going in, though. Going to find some poke with the portal jump on the way out. So attempt thwarted there in mid. Pobelter did have to burn the flash, but not a bad trade at all, given the situation. Meanwhile, Sven able to pick up a plate here in bot lane, continuing to stay decently up in farm.
Yeah, Iceborne Gauntlet as well. Definitely looking for more control in this lane rather than the all-out damage of the Trinity Force. Trying to chip away at turret plates. It looks like it is currently 5 plates to 1, which is actually accounting for most of the 1.3% gold difference.
Curious to see if either team wants to make a mad dash for the Herald with turret plating falling off so soon. It's not as valuable, but
Yeah.
taking the first turret always is, even if you don't get the extra gold from the plates. But as you said, it does feel like TSM want to play things maybe a little bit more slowly. For a team that has done a lot of soul searching, it feels like, about what kind of style, what champions they want to play, I feel like they've almost come full circle.
I think that's what happened when they struggle so much throughout the regular season. They played a ton of different styles. You thought maybe TSM was going to try and be a faster-paced team. In recent weeks, they've just tried to slow things down more and more. And here, it is generally slow early. But here's Santorin.
Getting aggressive
gets the
once
steal.
again. Nice steal there, paying him back finally for the blue buff at level 2. And you can now start to see the Nautilus Zoe Sejuani combination really apply so much pressure to TSM's map. Every single time POB can leave, he just does stuff like this. Bjergsen now going to be the next target. Permafrost going to land. There's a good bubble. Bjergsen insta-cleanses out, but he still gets caught by the ulti of Sejuani. But now Speaker diving in, able to grab the counter kill. Bjergsen managed to live through it all. Another TP in from Broken Blade. Going to try and make the trade
There's
happen
two.
here. It's actually Sven and Smoothie here. Take it all back as they port the cat in. Santorin going to get stunned by Bjerg, who stayed just to make sure that could happen. Now Wadid is dead, and they'll chase Wild Turtle down, but he's safe under the turret.
Sometimes the game is very tactical, and it's all about which ward you get in which river and who has bot side river control. Other times, you just have to make an outplay. And there was where Bjergsen was completely outnumbered by FlyQuest because FlyQuest had played the bot side river control, but he doesn't quite die. TSM double TPs in thanks to the Yuumi Ezreal interaction, brings yet another with Broken Blade, and we're going to watch this one more time. So Bjergsen does get hit by the stun, but right there, because his cleanse gave him CC reduction, his stun didn't last very long, able to dash out of the Zoe Q1 and Q2. Spica flies in for the final kill, and then you think it's just going to be one. By the way, it's a Yuumi game, so it's two. And they just are able to bring more people to the party after the dive didn't work to kill Bjergsen.
Bjerg even getting the assist gold there as Broken Blade keeps in to make sure Total can't join the fight for FlyQuest. And a couple kills up for TSM, a lot of plates in their advantage as well. No tower shattered just yet, but the Rift Herald is a decent objective to take nonetheless. So Speaker will start it, and with Smoothie roaming up and Bjergsen and Sven still being here in the central part of the map, it seems like the objective does belong to TSM today.
Yeah, and zooming out a little bit, this game is still quite close. If you think about how FlyQuest can transition towards a teamfight phase with double AD carry of Sivir Tristana, Mage, poke damage with Zoe, and then a potentially very strong frontline with Sejuani Nautilus, that is a very standard and strong team fighting composition. So still, FlyQuest in a position where they can make plays.
Looks like Cobalt found a redemption on the ground, trying to clear that minion wave there. Bubble gonna land onto Speaker, but he'll be okay. Maybe not, though, for Broken Blade as he gets ulted by Santorin. Gonna be forced to flash out, depth charge, walks the other side, but towards Turtle he goes. Cobalt are gonna blow him up. Smoothie, not enough heals in the tank to save him.
And FlyQuest shows the coordination right there. They just bring 5 people into the mid lane, use their very strong CC combos combined with On the Hunt. They just run TSM down because TSM didn't have 5 people there, and the timing is absolutely right. They get mid priority right before the second Drake of the game.
Yep, Mountain Drake, always good to have, especially when you have 2 marksmen on your team. We've seen a lot of Trist stick in the side lane, try and demolish the towers, playing like, I guess in some ways, like a normal carry top laner. But still a great Drake for them to get. FlyQuest secure their second of this game, continuing to stay very close to TSM.
Yeah, you could definitely make the argument that FlyQuest is now up in this game. The plays that TSM was initiating in the early game have now been FlyQuest making the plays. The 4-man dive they did bottom lane. Even the failed dive mid lane was initiated by FlyQuest, as well as that successful fight they just had in the mid lane. And now just kind of watch the cooldown of Santorin Sejuani ultimate and Wadid's Nautilus ultimate, because when those are up, FlyQuest is on the offensive. When those are down, it's TSM's turn to try and make a play.
That's really well played by Sven as soon as the spell shield popped off, getting aggressive. Pobelts are going to get locked up and stunned over the wall. Almost there. There's the Cataclysm in from Speaker, but POB able to get out of there. Couldn't quite find the follow-up stun after the great chain from Broken Blade, but they still get mid-outer.
Yeah, so mid lane priority going to be what they are playing for right now, knowing that the split push of FlyQuest isn't actually that strong, especially when you consider that Aatrox has the temporary edge on Viper, maybe until Viper picks up healing reduction. So really, now that you're looking to FlyQuest Ultimate, Santorin, Sejuani almost back up, Nautilus ult back up. Let's see if they can make a play mid to try and get back that mid lane priority.
Also, keep checking Speaker's inventory to use the Rift Herald and try and take a turret. I thought they were trying to take 2 in mid, but didn't have time to drop it when the fight started. So still want to get something for the objective. Again, you can't get played, so at least get a turret and try and get a little bit of gold out of the deal. Looks like down the bottom side we go. I think Speaker has decided exactly where he needs to be dropping this Herald as TSM is continuing to stay coordinated and try and knock down towers. This time FlyQuest decide not to defend it and will give this tower up.
Yeah, you wonder if TSM's going to go for 2 here because this Rift Herald is basically unneeded. You almost wouldn't even want him to lose health on that first charge. So TSM does kill the turret first, and now it is giving a fairly strong tell where TSM could be going next.
Nice.
They can catch Viper, though. All right, let's see if FlyQuest tries an initiation here on this charge.
And shift forward, Santorin want to look for here. Stunned, though. Going to get followed up by True Shot Barrage, so chunked out relatively low. Rift Herald, though, does get killed, so the tower stays healthy enough, although TSM will push in for at least 1 more wave, and looks like they do have enough firepower after poking out Santorin to indeed get the second turret they were looking for.
Yeah, quality push by TSM right there. Getting good value out of a post 14 minutes Rift Herald. Unable to get plates, but still getting that interior turret. Going to be good gold in their pockets.
Makes sense that you want to attack somewhere where you can more obviously find picks. I think they've combined Yuumi Q and Syndra Q plus E nicely throughout a lot of these sieges. FlyQuest, to their credit, having not picked off too many times, and TSM will have to watch out for the Sejuani ultimate in particular. But for now, it does seem like TSM just kind of methodically, you know, doing the obvious play. But sometimes the simple play is the one you need to do. It's often the one that gets you the most gold.
Absolutely.
I should say most gold easily. Killing the enemy many, many times over gets you the most gold.
But not easily.
Yes, but not that easily. Usually they fight back.
Yeah. Taking a look at items, the Mikhails on Yuumi is going to come in fairly clutch right here. I believe that was recently completed, so that definitely makes the initiations for FlyQuest more difficult. It's a very good Yuumi item, specifically against Sejuani, but they now have a cleanse on their mid laner. So if the ultimate hits anyone else, kind of expect Smoothie to be very quick with that Mikhails.
Herald over Scutler, sorry, going down. Looks like Baron is being at least considered by both teams. TSM, though, will be the first to take Vision. Can't undersell the Drakes that FlyQuest have, though. There will be another Ocean up in 53 seconds or so. And FlyQuest have done a good job of monopolizing that particular part of the map. As Pobelta wanders into what we know to be a trap. Let's see if he maybe gets himself caught here.
He's got the control ward that he's not really walking too far past.
Very responsible from Pobelta, as they will take that first ward down. Santorin, now the one hiding in the brush. Does have Wadid and Wild Turtle about, but Speaker and Smoothie will sweep through most of that jungle and see almost all the wards, although they do just walk past that one there, as the sweeper did time out. So I have a pretty good idea that there is almost no vision now for FlyQuest around this Baron.
Yeah, map pressure definitely in favor of TSM here. They're threatening Baron, even though they would be very slow at killing it. So it's mostly just about mid lane priority and probably trying to get this Ocean Drake down. It's going to be tricky for FlyQuest to get out of this predicament, especially with that Mikhails being completed on Yuumi and how slippery this TSM team just kind of became.
I think you always look to turrets as well. 4-1 is a tough thing to maybe try and fight your way out of. There's just not much room right now for FlyQuest. The only turret they took was in bottom lane, and that's actually the longest lane because TSM took 2 turrets there. So we'll see. I mean, this is often something you have to do is just concede that we're currently behind on the map, wait and try and make a play, and FlyQuest certainly have the tools to do so.
Yeah, and if they get a 5 or 6 item Trist and a 5 or 6 item Sivir, they're going to be devastating in team fights. They're going to be incredibly powerful. It's just a matter of how can they kind of bridge to that moment. They do have good wave clear, but they don't have safety in pushing up, so they can only really clear waves once they hit their diminished turret line. And then at that point, it's about trying to sneak in and get these wards down, which TSM is kind of mobbing around to clear out. Everywhere you see Speaker killing a ward, he's got a teammate or 2 near him. So TSM trying to take few risks, but they do need to make sure they capitalize a little bit on this map pressure.
Ooh, that bubble hit someone. Broken Blade, they're going to find Santorin. Slow going to land, but no follow-up CC to be found. Still a ton of vision here for TSM and FlyQuest red side jungle. There is just not a lot they can do to check this area. In fact, they'll even commit Sven's TP just to make sure the top lane tier 2 will fall. Speaker goes drowsy, but as the J4 relatively safe, Smoothie even attaches just to make sure that no shenanigans do incur. And all of a sudden, that space is continuing to be created here around this area in the Baron. Finally, Fly get a ward down, but as quickly as it is placed, it is swept out by TSM, who are just mobbing through FlyQuest jungle.
Yeah, the good thing for FlyQuest is they do have 2 blue trinkets still available, so any type of hard vision denial might not work, but they catch Pobelter a bit.
Dirks actually did use his ulti, but wasn't enough to kill POB through the heal, it looks like. But he does burn both summoners, and only the final chapter and Syndra's ulti burnt means it's not a bad trade for TSM, who continue to apply pressure here in mid. Pobelter though, firing back. Santorin, in he goes. Under Sven is the one they want, but Speaker has to get out of there. FlyQuest, do they have any follow-up here? Viper going to arrive on the scene finally. Sven, they're going to Arcane Shift out Speaker, the first target, but Pobelter committing that flash he picked up, trying to clip someone, but cannot find it.
Yeah, definitely FlyQuest trying to make a stand right there, expending the Sejuani ultimate as TSM got a little bit aggressive, trying to push that mid lane second turret before turning towards Baron Bates. With Mountain Drake coming up in 2.5 minutes, though, I don't think TSM needs to rush into a Baron force. It would be probably more prudent to get that Mountain Drake so that the Baron threat is much faster, since a Iceborne Gauntlet Ezreal and a Syndra with a tank Jarvan are actually very slow Baron killing team, all things considered. Mountain Drake would help with that.
Certainly would. Imagine TSM will continue a pretty methodical approach to this game. Broken Blade hanging out in the bottom half of the map, very happy just getting this long lane pushed up and again causing pressure around the Baron area. I mean, Viper is picking up farm, he's got 2 items, while Turtle's actually working towards item number 3, so those carries are starting to hit some breakpoints. I think you want to look for them to both have 3 completed items before you can say that, okay, they're ready to go. But again, FlyQuest are not being provided very many opportunities, so at least the ones they're taking make a lot of sense, but can be tough, especially with the Mikhails that you mentioned that Smoothie did use in the last fight.
Yeah, while Turtle gets Infinity Edge, the conversation of this game changes. I think at that point, FlyQuest would try harder to actually force 5v5s towards the mid lane. At this point, they are still in that wave clear pattern. But if they can get strong enough where they can really force mid priority with 5 people, the game does change. So it'll be a pretty tight timing for TSM right here. They're still vision controlling. I still think they should wait for that Mountain Drake, and then they'll have a small period of time where they can really try and force for that Baron.
See Broken Blade just pushing the wave and collapsing with his team. TSM might be cooking up something a little more aggressive here as they want to push this mid lane tier 2 again. Been pretty good at poking the turret down here with the Ezreal W. Goes to sleep, goes Speaker, depth charge in onto Sven, it's gonna land. FlyQuest going in again, try and find the fight, but Speaker with the Cataclysm actually gonna set it up decently. But Broken Blade, good ult as well from Smoothie to follow up, and no one dead as Broken Blade over the wall to safety as Viper can't quite find the vision for the final auto.
And when these 5v5s are happening, Pastry Time, FlyQuest is having the advantage. TSM just keeps kind of walking up to that second tier turret. No real initiation plan, almost just waiting for FlyQuest to fight them. And in the front to back, even before Infinity Edge comes in on either of the carries, FlyQuest starting to get a lead. So that should give FlyQuest a fair bit of confidence that their current plan is working.
Also, TSM kind of just undid all the work they did around this Baron.
Oh, Turtle!
While Turtle though picked off by Sven.
That just can't happen. There's a ward right there. He's all alone. The rest of his team is off clearing vision. They've been winning by sitting at the turret and farming off. That 40-second death timer opens up so much on the map for TSM.
Yeah, don't worry about what I said. TSM back in the driver's seat of Turtle's mishap there. They'll take the mid tier 2. Already working on the Drake, and Pobelter eating the Syndra ult does get away as they don't have quite enough damage to finish it off. Speaker actually did rejoin. He was starting the Drake, but he'll now move back down with the rest of his team. And even though Turtle will be back for this Baron, significantly larger of a threat now that TSM will have this mountain.
Those are the types of plays that FlyQuest need to clean up before the regional qualifier. Sven is right there. And Bjergsen doesn't even assist on the kill. So 1v1 kill by Sven. Wild Turtle should not have been there. Here's another fight though, 5v5.
Trying to set up this flank around the Baron, looking for some sort of bait. Speaker already tanking off what he can. Drowsy goes broken by Bjergsen, able to kill Wadid, and everyone else from TSM still alive. As Speaker will finally fall to Wild Turtle. Sven though, in the middle, getting healed up by Smoothie, playing battle. Ezreal gets his way out of there somehow, as Bjergsen nails the triple kill.
Just a huge fight win for TSM. They do have the Mountain Drake right now, but they actually look like they're opting to recall. Can they reset this if they want to? They actually can. If they use teleports back to pressure the Baron, that might be what they're going for as Bjergsen gets the mid wave pushing. Let's see. With 3 dead, you'd expect them to try and make a play around Baron and the jungler dead. Does feel like they're kind of lacking that killer instinct right now, though, as they're just kind of soft resetting the map Pastry Time.
Yeah, expected a little bit more, but I'll at least take this fight as FlyQuest had the right idea here.
Yeah, FlyQuest was kind of in a mode where they felt like they had to force a fight with all the map pressure they had just lost. Wadid goes down early, and then kind of watch Broken Blade with the Yuumi attached to him for most of the fight, zones out about 3 people on the team as the backside of the fight with Bjergsen and Sven kill off everyone else. Definitely pay close attention to the Aatrox Yuumi mega heal interactions in some of these team fights. It's a very, very strong combo for the champ.
And looking down, there is only one Executioner's calling currently there for Wild Turtle, although there is a Morello, also up for POB. So they have the reduction, but they hit the guy. Broken Blade certainly had enough in the tank to get through there. As poke onto Wadid, looking for another catch. Nautilus, not that tanky. Sven getting aggressive again. Final tap to getting burned. Yuumi kill! Oh, Sven, he stole it, but it's still good enough for TSM. As Speaker gonna dive in under the turret onto POB. They're gonna look to take the turret as well. Broken Blade taking up what he can as Smoothie continuing to heal up the Aatrox. Broken Blade though does fall. Speaker low, doesn't die though. Again, Smoothie with the saves. And maybe thinking about turning it back around. They've opened up the inhib. They're feeling confident.
Yeah, I mean, just keep grinding down that mid lane is what TSM is doing. Sven, a very fed Ezreal, gets the solo kill basically at the start of that fight, but since they didn't actually get onto Viper or Wild Turtle, it made that extended fight fairly difficult. Weird game so far, but watching this one more time, Wadid is poked out before FlyQuest can engage for that fight. Massive amount of damage onto Viper, and that just kind of cues TSM to turret dive, but because they don't get onto Wild Turtle, watch him on Sivir in the back of this fight. Ricochets out the wazoo, and then Pobelter is actually the one who picks up the kill on Aatrox. And here, Sven is caught out. We will have to get the replay of that one. This game, Pastry Time, feels like it's on this slow, methodical front. Then Turtle gets caught. Then Sven gets caught. And now it's FlyQuest. You could just take control of the game if they get this Baron.
Yeah, Viper TPing in. FlyQuest are committing for this objective. TSM, no vision. This Baron is burning down as well. They're going to have to get in there. Speaker, do you have it in you to find a steal on your phone? Oh, the steal! He does! Speaker comes up with the steal on the Baron and just rout FlyQuest out of the Baron pit.
Oh, man. And they might be able to push up mid after that one, Pastry Time. I don't even know what to say.
I couldn't have written a better script myself.
Oh my goodness. He gets the completely clutch steal. That's one of those things where TSM could be begrudgingly happy. They're going to try and end off of this, although FlyQuest has 4 live.
Yeah, TPing in, Speaker out of there. Sven, though, going to join the fight. It's 5v4 for a small amount of time. As Wadid is actually respawning, but Bjerg unstoppable as Speaker combines to dunk. Pull Viper into the ground, and now Wadid again the first target. Drowsy in on there, but Smoothie is just zipping around. Zoomies everywhere, healing up the squad, just making this push last unnecessarily long amounts of time. Broken Blade flashes in for what could be the final Q. They'll get the root. Wild Turtle low, but back towards the fountain he goes, and TSM, they're still pushing here.
Yeah, they still have all 5 people alive. Yumi's keeping them up at very low health points. FlyQuest gonna have to try and make a last stand.
Sven, though, continuing to poke down. He's just so strong. Broken Blade, unafraid, will tank with the GA. Nexus turrets are going to fall. That Q straight to the face. Going to get them yet another one. And TSM just determined to grind through FlyQuest all the way through mid into the Nexus. TSM going to pick up the victory.
Oh, my goodness. What a weird ending to that game, Pastry Time.
What do you mean?
Just look at the way Sven and the rest of TSM are reacting to that one. It's definitely not as planned, So if you're basing it on the results, you say, sure, success. If you're basing it on the process, you got some stuff to work on. There's kind of those head-shaking smiles from Broken Blade walking away because getting caught out right before that Baron steal, which ended the game, is not how you want to close out the game. And then from FlyQuest's side, if that Baron doesn't get stolen, maybe they actually had stayed on the back foot until a point where they could come back into that game. But right as the game was about to turn, it just plows right through the roadblock and goes to an end.
You know what? You bring in a new jungler for his first ever LCS game. You bring up Peter Zhang from Academy to train the squad in the early game. Slow, methodical, deliberate, classic TSM. Are you telling me that you don't expect Sven to die and then Speaker to steal a Baron in his first ever LCS game? That's not the ending you gave to the team?
Just as they drew it up in VOD review.
Perfect.
Yeah, so that moves TSM to 10 wins. We know they've already